Welcome to Sunshine Art and Drawing. Today we're going to be looking at finding your colouring style. So this is some tips and tricks that you can use to enhance your colouring or to use some new skills that you may not have used before. So let's start off with tools. Now I wanted to talk about that because a lot of people think that you need to have the most expensive tools to be able to do any kind of artwork. And I want to show you don't really need that. So firstly, I want to talk about pencils. So here I have some Prismacolors. Here I just have some regular cheap Faber-Castell pencils. These are the cheap version that maybe only cost about $5 for a pack of 12. And if you get a bunch of different size packs, you'll get a whole bunch of colours, and it's a lot cheaper than say the $20 to $30 for these pencils here. Definitely, if you can't afford good pencils, don't worry about it. Just buy some cheap pencils. It is all really just up to technique, and it has nothing to do with how expensive your supplies are. So it's just about practice. And if you're going to be practicing a lot and going to be colouring a lot, it's a lot better and a lot more worth your money to buy some cheaper pencils than to use the expensive ones. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, I find I feel guilty using these pencils, and I think that's because they're so expensive. I don't want to use them up or waste them. I received them as a gift for Christmas. So I feel like every time I sharpen them, I'm wasting the pencils, you know, and with these, I don't care. I could break one of these pencils, and I just don't mind, and resharpen them and break them again, and it doesn't bother me. Look out for cheap pencils, pencils on special, things like that, and that way you're not spending a lot of money on pencils and you have heaps of colours so that your colouring turns out really nice. The next thing I want to talk about is sharpening. Now you can use any sharpener, you can use just one of these regular little handheld ones. I recommend doing this on a scrap piece of paper, and then you can kind of pick up the paper and scoop it into the bin, then you don't get crumbs and bits of lead all over your artwork. This is a little electric sharpener. You can usually pick these up for about $10. This one uses battery, but you can use ones that have like a little USB cable to plug into your laptop. And then it just works that you push the pencil into it. I'm just going to see if the battery's working, I'm not sure. And it spins, so it sharpens your pencil. Very handy if you've got a lot of pencils to sharpen. But recently I grabbed this. This is a Derwent manual pencil sharpener, and what it has inside is a little blade, and that you spin this and it sharpens the pencil for you and allows you to get that really nice point that you see on pencils like these. So if you're looking for a pencil sharpener to give you that real kind of professional looking point to all your pencils, definitely look out for one of these. I think this is about $15, which isn't too bad, and I got it from an office supply store like Officeworks, Staples, that kind of thing. Definitely something you look out for, and really handy if you've got a lot of pencils to sharpen. It probably took me maybe about an hour, but I was able to sharpen all of these pencils really fast. If I'd done that by hand, it would have hurt my hands. You would end up with blisters on your fingers because of the turning, and also you end up with them breaking because you can't keep the pencil straight. This has a handy little feature that you can actually pull out and stabilize your pencil as it's sharpening so it doesn't move, giving you that perfect point. The next thing that I want to show is erasers. Now you probably know this one. This is just your regular pencil eraser. This will work on most colored pencils, probably not your super dark colors, but any color that's kind of a bit brighter than red, it will probably remove. So you won't be able to get rid of your navy blues and your greens, but it will help. These is that kneadable eraser. What I normally do is I keep a little piece like this that's kind of pointed, and that's handy for just getting rid of little tiny bits like little specks or where you've accidentally done it. And you don't want to rub like this, you want to blot. That's how this works. It kind of like allows the lead to stick to this and pick it up. So you just kind of blot the little fine point, and you can just squeeze it to make it even finer and then clean it up. But I also keep a piece like this, and this is really handy for if you've got a lot of like little crumbs or something from a big area. If you just gently roll this like that, like you don't want to press hard, you just want to roll it, it will pick up a lot of those little crumbs. So it's handy to have a bit bigger piece and then a little piece just for detail. And this is an electric eraser. It's got a little battery inside, and you can use it for creating highlights because it will erase really kind of fine detail, and that's really handy for anything like doing like little glints in people's eyes, or doing like a little highlight of light or a little ring light around the back of someone. Really easy with a little electric pencil eraser. And these usually come with little extra pieces on the tip. I think I got this for about $3 from Daiso. You can definitely get these pretty cheaply. So have a look out for one of those if you want to have something cool to do with your colouring. The next thing I want to talk about is underlaying your artwork. So if you're going to be colouring in a book, if you just colour in straight away with all the pages flat against each other, you end up with an issue where you've got indents on the page underneath, which can be a bit annoying. Now, usually one sheet of paper is not enough. I usually grab, 3 to 5 sheets of paper and I'll stick them in between, and this is just printer paper, like very, very cheap printer paper, and I'll stick them in between the pages just to give a bit of a buffer to underneath. It's also helpful if you're going to do something that's using line art or something like that where you're not sure if it'll go through the page. This will protect the other pages. But my favorite thing to use rather than paper is just a square of cardboard. So this is just from some packaging, and if you slip this in between, it helps with a bit of like stability as well, and also it protects the page underneath, but you also get a nice sturdy surface. Unlike with paper, you might find that it slips and slides. This stays nice and steady. So say for example I wanted to colour in a picture in this book here, I would open it up to the page that I want to do. Let's have a quick flick through and I'm going to grab the one I want to do. I usually will bend my book back. Some people don't like doing that, but I find it's a lot easier if you've kind of got it as one sheet, and then you just grab your few sheets of printer paper and just tuck them underneath. And that will protect this page from damaging this page and also keep it nice and neat. But you can use just a sheet of cardboard and the same sort of idea. Tuck that underneath and there you go. And that gives you a nice flat surface to work with. It's also handy that it doesn't really move, it'll stay. So as you can see, I have to push really hard to get it to move because it kind of will just stick in spot and stay where it's supposed to stay. So I've chosen this design here because it's got lots of little squares and I can show you different techniques in each one. First things first, I just want to have some general tips on how to choose your colours and how to just generally do some colouring in. I totally recommend that you work slowly in layers. As you can see with the blue here, I do about 2 or 3 layers very, very lightly to build up the colour. It's your best practice to do that. It just makes it a little bit easier for you to fix any mistakes and also to get any kind of blending or any kind of like dark and light tones that you're going for. Also, it helps if you've got a pencil that's blunt, always pop a bit of paper down and just snap off the little tip on a sharp pencil, just because it's going to snap as soon as you try and use it, and that can be a little bit annoying if you're just trying to make it look neat. It might make a little streak or something on your work. But as you can see, I'm just doing a really basic sort of colouring in here of a few different colours just to show you some sort of standard colouring in of what you can do if you're kind of picking realistic colours. Like here I'm just doing some skin tones and that sort of thing. You can use browns or you can use the peachy colour that usually comes with sets. And as you can see, that turned out quite cute. Now I'm just going to pick random colours. I think this is probably my favourite thing to do. If I don't know what kind of colour set or colour story I want to go for, a lot of the time I'll just pick random colours and I'll just colour in things, like literally close my eyes and just randomly pick a colour and then colour it in. I thought this turned out really cute because every single thing is a different colour, and I also did sort of half the sky a bit orangey and half the sky a bit green, and it turned out really nice. But it's always a fun way to do those sort of Zentangle-y type ones. If you just pick random colours, it just also speeds it up a bit so you don't have to sit there spending a while trying to do it. Now in this one I'm going to show you how you can do layering of different colours without blending them. So here I'm doing sort of a little line or a patch of one colour, and then underneath I do a slightly darker colour, and as you can see it does kind of have a different effect on your work. It makes it look a little bit more rustic, a little bit more sort of spontaneous, and I think that kind of turns out really nice. But definitely if you've got some time, I would recommend doing some actual blending. So here I'm not really blending anything, I was just putting some layers down. But on this next one I'm going to show you how it looks if you really just spend some time blending. So the very first thing is to fill up the space about 2/3 of the way with your lightest colour. Then come in with your second colour and fill up about half of the light colour that you did, and then a little bit underneath. And then thirdly, take your darkest colour and fill up that last third with the darkest colour, come back with your lightest one and blend it all together. That's usually my tip to getting blending to be really smooth, but definitely flicking back and forth between the pencils and building up those layers is the best way to get a consistent blend through with any pencils. And I'm showing you here that you can blend with these cheap Faber-Castell pencils. They will blend together. They might not be the smoothest blend, but they still will blend together. Here I'm using 3 of the pinky colours, like 2 pinks and a bit of a darker purple on her dress, and just making it look like there's a bit of a shadow underneath where the fabric folds. So that I just built up with different coloured pinks and a little bit of purple. And here I'm just using a bit of green just to do the grass. And as things get towards the background, they get darker. So if you're doing grass or something like that, you want to go dark and then light as it comes towards the foreground. That'll give you that kind of 3D look that it ends up having there. And I'm just going to get some skin tones and also a couple of browns just to do some shadows. And as you can see, it really sort of blends together really nicely. I think that turned out well. The next one I'm going to do is looking at using white space. So here I'm purposely leaving sections white, and I'm going to be doing some nice dark colours and then some patterns in the background to add some interest, make it look a bit like sort of bricks or something like that, just to make it look a bit more funky and a bit more different. If you've got all the same colour in the background, it can get a bit samey. But here I'm going to do a dark black outline around her hair because I'm going to leave that white. And then I'm going to pick a couple of colours, and let's do a bit of a greeny blue colour for her jacket. To me, she kind of looks a bit like maybe a nurse or something like that. So that was kind of what I was going for with the greeny blue colour of the scrubs, and her hair being white like she's an older, maybe she's a matron or something like that. And I did a little bit of highlight on the eyes using that electric eraser just to remove a little bit of the black to give a little light. And on this one here, I'm going to use black space. So this is just only using the black pencil. I'm just going to be doing sections in different colours and doing patterns after I've done all of the black layering. So first of all, I'm doing a little bit of patterns here and there, and then I want to make this person look like they're kind of in a polluted area. Maybe they work in a coal mine or something like that. So I added a lot of sort of dark colours and blacks and smudges on their face and that sort of thing. And then I took a couple of just some simple colours and added just a little interest here and there with a little bit of red, a little bit of brown and a little bit of blue, just a touch of colour, and then blended the face in with some of the skin tone. And as you can see, it does look like a dark kind of dystopian coal miner. And here I'm showing you how you can use any sort of texture or pencil to change what the drawing is. So I thought I wanted to make this one into kind of like maybe an alien or a robot. So I used the just a Sharpie texture to black out a lot of it, just to make him look a bit more robotic. And also I did a silver and gold kind of color on his body, and then used a pen to add a bit of like extra details, and that way you can personalize your artworks just for yourself. This next one here, I'm going to be just all using 1 or 2 colors. So here I'm taking sort of colors and then leaving gaps to make it sort of like block highlights. I noticed that with the Kjerstad artwork, that seems to be what they do. So they'll, rather than doing like a blended look, they'll kind of make block highlights, which I think kind of looks different. It's a bit of a more interesting look. And I made this person, maybe he's from like Africa or from South America or something like that, gave him some nice dark skin, and did a nice green sort of shirt and a sunset behind. And the very last one, I'm going to use texture. So here you can just use your pencils to make little dots and lines. It adds like a nice texture, and then you color over it and then you can see the little dots through it, so it makes it look like sand. And I wanted his shirt to kind of look like it was made of maybe fur or something like that. And also make the sun look kind of fluffy with a little bit of pink. And then just a tiny touch of yellow and orange to make it look maybe like it's a sunset. And then for his hair, I did with black and grey, made it really kind of like stringy and very, very scratchy. But as you can see, that's all of them done. That's some tips and tricks that you can use doing your own colouring. So if you would like to see more of my videos, there's a playlist linked up on the right hand side. And if you'd like to subscribe, click my little sun on the left. So I hope you guys have a super sunshiny day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!